My name is Terry Batch. I currently work with the U.S. Department of Commerce, and I have 2 days left in my role with the U.S. Department of Commerce because I'm going to be transitioning out and moving on. And the work that I do is in international trade, so I help small and medium-sized businesses with exporting their products and services around the world. The past 2 years, I've been focused on helping minority and women-owned businesses access resources of the federal government to help you grow and scale your businesses globally. And so I'm going to be leaving that work, and I'm going and transitioning into a new role, a new position. There's an organization here locally called Global LA, and I will be a president and CEO. So the CEOs that are out there, I'm joining you in the ranks of president, CEO, with the women that are represented here today. So I'm really excited to be here. I'm a big champion and supporter of the Polk Institute and all the work that they do. And I know that today is going to be a wonderful program. With that, I'm going to bring up Gary Polk. He's the president and CEO of the Polk Institute, and he's going to provide us with some opening remarks for today. And Gary was just standing, oh, there he is.
All right, thank you, Terry. So let me start off by asking a question. How many of you know what I'm talking about when I say the triple bottom line? What am I talking about? A few of you. So those of you who don't, it stands for people, planet, profit. People, planet, profit. As a baby boomer, I was taught that business was about profit. Profit, profit, profit. As an educator at the college level, we've been teaching MBAs, profit maximization. Both of those are wrongful thinking. I think it's really about how we take care of people, our customers, our employees, the planet, and we still want to make a profit. I remember telling someone about the importance of being a social entrepreneur, and she said, well, Gary, everybody can't be a nonprofit. I said, no, no, no. It is still about profit, but it's also about the planet and people. A guy named Wayne Ellington in 1994 actually coined people, planet, profit. And now we're in 2024, guess what? We've upgraded it. Now I hear it's people, planet, prosperity. And when you think about it, that's kind of cooler than profit. But we are entrepreneurs, and we are for profit, and we do need sales. And at the end of the day, no sales, no profit. So we understand that. But what the Polk Institute wants to do, we want to teach fundamental entrepreneurs to be ethical, to have character, and understand what social entrepreneurship is all about. We hope that 60% of our clients become social entrepreneurs. But if not, we know that 100% are going to learn about it from us, and then as CEOs, they'll make a decision. So I am really proud to be here because this is a perfect storm for us because we're partnering with Beneficial State Bank, and what's amazing about them, they're one of a commercial bank for profit that is a certified social entrepreneurship according to the B Corporation. So let's give Beneficial State Bank a great hand. So then we add the Polk Institute. Our mission is serving social entrepreneurs to help make the world a better place. Our vision is to help launch 1,000 social entrepreneurships by 2032. So that's a very aspirational goal. But the trifecta is completed with our partners from Alta Sea about a blue ocean. So in your program, there's information about Alta Sea. Let's give Alta Sea a hand now. I know we have some Alta Sea people. Alta Sea people, raise your hand if you're in the crowd here. Where's Alta Sea? There's one. Where's Liza? I just met Liza. She's a volunteer. Liza's over there. And so this is amazing where we didn't know each other a year ago, at least I didn't, but we already had our mission. And it's fun to find another organization that shares that mission and another organization that shares that mission. And again, social entrepreneurship. What's interesting, Gen Z, baby boomers, they buy it. It's easy. Gen X, maybe. Baby boomers, no. But really, it's important to know it's not a zero-sum game. All three can work together. So that's it. So today, we're here because this is Women's Small Business Month, and that's important. In your program, you'll read a little bit of behind that. Ladies, some of you know, maybe you don't. There was a time where you could not borrow money without a male cosigner. Not like that today, ladies. And what's exciting is that when we had our first cohort class in 2021, we had 26 companies and 17 were women-led. (2022) cohort 2, 19 companies, 12 were women-led. A little applause for cohort 2, please. Cohort 3, we had another 26, and we had, I think, 19 or 20 women-led. So we're part of that. Our target market is black and brown, women, veterans, and nonprofits. But we're not exclusive. There are three things we look for. A, are you coachable? B, are you resilient? Do you have tenacity? Because we don't want quitters. We know entrepreneurship is tough. It's a failure sport. And 3, we're looking for companies that want to grow a business to $1 million in the next 3 to 5 years. So our organization has limited resources. We're really not trying to grow the mom and pop, the solopreneur, the side hustle. We want the companies that want to build something. Because in 2022, we started our legacy cohort. So our basic cohort is for startups and emerging companies. Our legacy cohort has 10 members, been in business 10 years or more, and they're concerned about exit strategy and how to develop a legacy that we can transfer backwards. So that's a little bit about the Polk Institute. I'm excited because we have our women today. We're going to have all women judges. Can the women judges who are in the room right now, can you stand up? We have Michelle, we have Ade, we have Nanica. Where's Monique over here? And we're missing one more. She's not here yet. So thank you, ladies. I go to a lot of pitch competitions. They're very male dominant. So not today. Today is Ladies' Day. So we have 5 women pitchers. Can you ladies stand up, please? So we had 10 or 11 companies submit. I had 9 people judging. I recused myself, so I wasn't part of this, but I was part of the coaching. And I can tell you that all 5 of the companies, they were very coachable. That was really important to me. They were very coachable. So we're going to have a nice program today. I'm done. I'm going to bring up our key. I'm going to bring you back. Oh, see, there we go. But before I do that, I got to say thank you for my team, because I'm always preaching teamwork. So when I had this idea, my first call was to a guy. I know finance. I was a 10-year banker, but I know a guy who knows finance better than me, and his name is Mike Manahan, right there, our CFO. He's also a teaching colleague with me at Dominguez Hills, so he'll leave early because he has classes today, but he had to be here. We have our where's my chief operating officer? Where's Tim? There's Tim. Tim joined us as our director of curriculum. He moved up to our COO. We have Alton Takabayashi. He's our curriculum director with the very cool pink shirt, because we also know that October is breast cancer month as well. So good job, Alton. We have Murphy Witherspoon, Director of Recruiting, right there. The shy one. We have Alice Taylor, our our Director of Fundraising. She's back at the table. Alice, you want to stand up? Thank you. We have Jesse Manahan. I got to pause for a moment, because if you look at the backdrop behind me, if you look at the lanterns, if you look at the decoration, Jesse Manahan has been here. We have our Chief of Staff, Claudine Polk, my wife, AKA my boss. We have Tracy Brown, our Director of Mentors. If anybody in the room wants to be a mentor, talk to Tracy. If anybody wants to join us, go online. We're recruiting for cohort. We also have a board member here checking out to make sure we're doing it right. Mr. M Blackwell right there. And this guy has frequent flyer miles because yesterday we had a legacy cohort meeting in Torrance. He drove up from San Diego, where his business is located. He goes home last night. He drives back up here today for this event. Let's give Alan another hand. Okay, so I hope I didn't miss anyone. Oh, Terry. Terry is also our advisory board chairperson. And I'm really happy that she left the government because we didn't get a lot of time from her. We might get a little bit more time now. That's great. We have Jeff Coben, our video guy, walking around. So you may see him with a camera in his hand. You're pointing. Oh, we have the second place winner from our event in May, our pitch event, Celine Hernandez. Can you stand up, Selena? She's the CEO of American Pet Apparel. If you like puppies, oh my goodness, she has some puppies. And there was someone else. Oh, where's Richard, our DJ? Oh, there he is right there, Richard, our DJ. And then Brody is our social media guy. Brody, social media. Okay. And you're pointing, oh, we have another board member, kind of incognito. Well, see, that's why you want to have a good team. Mr. Bill Strickland, can you stand up, please, sir? That was Bill. Okay. Now, with no further ado, let me give the mic to Terry.
So next we're going to have Monique Johnson come up. She's with Beneficial State Bank. Monique. And she's going to talk about Beneficial State Bank, which I'm learning about today, and this is a very cool bank. So you guys are in for a treat.
We are cool. Yeah, thank you. And I actually have the honor of talking about not only the bank. This is our home away from home for those of us who work out of LA. We also have a location at Lacey, the Los Angeles Clean Tech Incubator. And we have a full service office in East LA. We're headquartered in Oakland, and then we have offices in Fresno, Portland, Oregon, and Seattle, Washington. So when Gary talked about the triple bottom line, we not only promote it, as you can see through all of our branding, those three orange colors is our triple bottom line. And for you, Joyce, the colors are Portland Pumpkin is our darkest color, and then we go to Washington Butterfly, and then California Poppy. So even from the color scheme, a lot of thought was put into that. I'd love to have our beneficial family raise their hands or stand up. We have a number of them here today. Some of them traveled from Portland down to San Diego and everything in between. We're thrilled to be here. We love saying that we work out of a container under the Altasea campus. I also have, again, the honor of being on the board of Altasea, and so I love this place. So much happens, so many tours come through here. People need to walk the 60,000 square feet within this berth. I would say the 180,000 feet, but the other two on each side of us are going under construction right now, and come first quarter, we will be down in berth 58 permanently. So we're thrilled to be here. Everything that focuses on really the ocean, the blue economy, clean energy, again, focus on planet, small business, education happens here. So I want to welcome you to our home. I also want to just make sure from any type of perspective, if you need to use the restroom, you're going to go on the other side of our container and to the right. So a little housekeeping there. I want to make sure everyone stays for the day. So we will have lunch from roughly 11 to 12. And there was an amazing fundraising event on Saturday night that Alta-C had down in 57. And they were gracious enough to open it up. There's some art exhibits there, so we want to make sure you've got time from 11 to 12 to have some lunch. Also down at that area, you'll see it. It's under the dome, as we call it. And then take a stroll through the art exhibit. And then after we have the pitch competition, we're going to have another little mixer here at our container, so you can take in the nice views of the waterway. Maybe we'll see Benny, our favorite seal. We'll see what happens. But anyway, I want to welcome you all. Thank you.
So now you guys are in for a treat, because you're in the midst of greatness, I will say that. Because our next speaker who's going to come and give us a keynote is Kat Taylor. And if you're not familiar with Kat, I'm going to read a little bit of her bio. Not all of it, because there's a lot of really good stuff in here, but I want you to know who is talking to you today. Kat Taylor works in service of restoring social, racial, gender justice, and environmental well-being for an equitable and inclusive world. She is active in a variety of social enterprises and philanthropic ventures focused on deep systems change. Currently, she serves as the co-founder and the board chair of Beneficial State Bank. This is a community development financial institution and a certified B Corporation that makes banking more accessible to under-resourced communities in an economically and environmentally sustainable manner, and to change the banking system for good. And you've heard about Beneficial State Bank, so I won't give you the rundown on that. But she's also the founding director of Tomcat Ranch Educational Foundation, which is dedicated to inspiring a sustainable food system through ranching, training, tours, research, and school food and garden programs. The foundation owns the social enterprise Left Coast Grass-Fed, humanely raising cattle and other livestock for the benefit of healthy soils. She also served and continues to serve on the following boards and advisory bodies, and I'm just going to name some of them because it's a long list. But there's Beneficial State Bank, Beneficial State Foundation, the Central Kitchen Advisory Board that she co-chairs for the Oakland Unified School District, Community Development Bankers Association, the Center for Rural Enterprise and Environmental Justice, EcoTrust, Avenue, Forager, Good Samaritan Family Resource Center, Harvard Board of Overseer, and the list goes on and on and on. There's like about 10 more. So she graduated from Harvard College, and she earned her JD and MBA from Stanford University. So you're about to be in for a treat, and with that, I'd like to welcome Kat to the stage.
Oh, 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 you deserve a bank like this. Enough was said about the bank, but I just have to. I'm really honored to be here with Beneficial State Bank. I'm the chair of the board, as was said, but I really want to thank all of the BSB bankers who came here to be here and who organized and hosted this along with Alta-C and the Polk Institute. So I'm also going to say in advance, I do mean to be avant-garde. I never mean to be offensive. But I'll take your feedback if I am. Hold on to your hats. This is a little bit R-rated, this speech. Thank you, the amazingly innovative women entrepreneurs and incisive judges here today. This is all about you. Thank you, Polk Institute, for giving me this intimidating opportunity to speak on how women's leadership differs from men's. Your invitation has led me on a ponderous journey, or actually to continue it, for which I am most grateful. I dare say you are all expecting a conversation founded in business ways, but I have been trying to call it out experiences that may differentiate women in their leadership approaches. That this is a woefully imperfect frame for generalizing over billions of unique human beings, but I wanted to see if even the hypotheses could suggest how life abounds on a planet we have come to dominate at our peril. Not evidence-based, these are decidedly just stories I tell myself. I don't pretend to know the truth or even that there is a truth, but here's some musings on women's leadership from a daydreaming fool. Humility. First, I take full consideration of the origins of America. As a person who loves her country, I apologize for stating it so harshly, but those origins include slavery, Jim Crow, mass incarceration, Native genocide and land theft, the oppression of labor, which is just us, by capital, immigrant and farm worker exploitation, less than full personhood for at least half of its populace, property rights taken and honored without regard for stewardship of our ecological commons, and despoilation of our natural world. We can't expect that legacy not to carry forward with us. That would create a false sense of hubris, because especially in the last 5,000 years, and ultimately, we have exercised that hubris at our peril. But here's one story that counters any fear we might have that we've always been competitive and greedy and brutish and therefore always will be. That a massive asteroid landed in the Yucatan Peninsula millions of years ago is beyond dispute. But physicists are positing a new theory of what happened after the landing. They figure that the asteroid hit with enough energy to bore 20 miles into the surface of the Earth, shooting a stream of rock and gravel out behind it that glassified under the heat and reached outside the atmosphere. Once in orbit, about 10% of those hot beads fell back into the atmosphere worldwide and raised the temperature to about 1,200 degrees within 2 to 4 hours. Such intense heat globally incinerated everything that was not 30 feet under the surface of the ocean or 3 feet below the ground. Those that were left deep under the oceans became the ancestors of the birds and reptiles and the marine life that stayed in the ocean. Those who had been too weak to compete with the terrestrial animals in the past and therefore stayed under the ground lived to become the pink, fleshy ancestors of land mammals and therefore primates and ultimately man. So much for that humanoid hubris. The rise of hubris ever since has not worked out well. Every sector of our economy, our democratic process, and the credibility of science are all failing us at once while ecological systems are crashing, and social chaos and authoritarian danger descends on region after region. But I am no Debbie Downer, and what we have designed, we can redesign. We can model humility in that redesign. We change just about everything our fine minds have altered and bring them round right to regenerative, life-saving, planet cooperative models and systems, or we shall be spit out by this earth like a watermelon seed. And by the way, the earth will go on just fine without us. So we can't get by with a small fix. We need as big a paradigm shift as our catastrophic prospects demand, and one for the ages. One that changes our behaviors that we assume have been with us for ages. We need radical change, and I see it legion in the leadership of women. Systems change. Too often in our efforts to create sustainable communities, our diagnosis fails to solve for pattern. As my partner Tom Steyer says, if you can't solve a problem, make it bigger. We need to open the aperture and keep every interconnected factor in view. We need a shoot-the-moon strategy where we seek to win every hand and every suit, securing racial and gender equity, stabilizing climate and environmental well-being, and offering ubiquitous, resilient livelihoods. We need rules of engagement that reward constructive business activities. We need to factor in the future of work to discern how those livelihoods will be created in an increasingly automated and AI-driven world. Essentially, we must get every fundamental institution and system, especially business ones, right in the first place. Those institutions must strive to benefit all and harm none because they are very powerful. We simply can't amass the resources, governmental or charitable, to clean up after them when they turn their might towards undermining social equity or destroying our natural world. That tail won't wag that dog. They determine vast and lasting societal outcomes, not just business ones. And women are in the forefront of turning business into a force for good. Holistic thinking. At the heart of a systems change approach is holistic thinking. These are all challenges at the systems level, but additionally, they overlap and interconnect with large interdependencies. To not take a holistic approach underestimates the problem set and, more importantly, underpopulates the solution set. For instance, transcendent approaches position low-income frontline communities to be the first to become smart, sustainable living wage communities. Having been hurt the first, worst, and longest, they have the greater insights into how to cure these ills, and they already manage low resource use very well. They can skip over the industrial economy to a regenerative one. They know that we won't heal the earth without restoring justice, and we will not restore justice without healing the earth. As an important aside, I never separate social justice from environmental well-being, because I find in my experience, if you separate them, they fight against each other and you get neither one. That does not mean addressing justice at the expense of climate. Rather, I believe the only lasting way to address climate is to include justice for all stakeholder groups. For instance, if our climate solutions create more victims of pollution or economic unfairness, those constituencies simply will not stand still for that solution. I admit it is also a moral question for me, but I am focusing right now on the practical nature of addressing climate and justice hand in hand. And I see women doing that every single day. Womanly ways. Okay, here's where I take a risk and might fall flat on my face. And I do run the risk of offending people. So there's some language in here you might not be comfortable with. Okay, in the face of these challenges, I wager we will only make it if we put more new and different people in charge, including women. And we will have to discern between proffered strategies over time. My understanding of the selfish gene thesis, we humans are all trying to get our genetic material into the next generation as surely and amply as possible. That's what has driven us for thousands of years. But we have different strategies in answering that drive, and to me they break down, admittedly only roughly, on gender lines. In saying this, I am not trying to be a genderist. I witness female-associated behaviors in males and male-associated behaviors in females. But it seems to me there are male and female archetypical behaviors that differ. First, what I mean by the male archetype is that quite literally, the male has billions of sperm or seeds with which to get his DNA into the next generations. Therefore, he casts them widely, relying on some subset of them to be reproductively successful, and therefore, thereafter, cared for in a way that spans them into those next generations. Since he can't be sure which of his seed will get the chance to be born and thrive, he competes to gain the most resilient females to whom to entrust his seed and protect them into adulthood and reproductive success themselves. I admit this is a gross, unfair thesis, but it illuminates ways of being that are adaptive or not adaptive to the eras in which we find ourselves. The female archetype has almost a diametrically opposed opportunity and therefore strategy. The female has but one egg at a time upon which she relies to get her DNA into future generations. She has therefore much more incentive to invest in the conditions of protection and resourcing for her one child. Given how long it takes for a human baby to become competent, her only real chance to secure passage for her child into the future is to engage in cooperation, coordination, communications, and political behavior, to enlist help in a sort of mutualism, so that many women increase the chances that all their children survive to reproduce themselves. This might inform the popular grandmother theories as well, of which I am one. I am not suggesting that women are weak or meek in their natures. Women are like a mother bear too, gentle giants, but fierce when provoked, and especially if their offspring are threatened. So I also do not mean that men don't also engage in those behaviors, but they did not typify male behavior the way that competition, force, and hierarchy have. The male archetype, which has governed most of modern history, is a one against the all strategy. Over evolutionary time, the non-childbearing male gender developed strengths, first physical and then proxies like financial aggrandizement or political power, to compete well for those resources. In the one against the many, it's necessary to fight over scarce resources to the favor of one's progeny and away from all competitors. We war, we conquest, we lord. Think Hector, Achilles, and Perseus. It is not even extravagant for the male to pit his offspring against one another in order that the most capable live on into the breach of the future. It's rational for the male to try to win in competition where he gains at the expense of the many. This tends to preference hierarchy, divisions, and might. It sets up a zero-sum game which we win only at the expense of others, and that all humans are either winners or losers. But the female cannot win in that same way. It is disastrous for the female to risk even one of her offspring, knowing that could be her first and last. The female archetype aspires as strongly as the male archetype to persist by getting its genetic material into the next generation, but it has a wholly different reality that sets up the many for the all strategy. She tends to act collectively out of necessity, such that the many do better together than they can apart. Think Wilma Mankiller and Dolores Huerta, Jane Austen's characters, Kay Graham's leadership at the Post, Dorothy and the crew in The Wizard of Oz. But also think Gandhi, Martin Luther King Jr., Yvonne Chouinard, Harry Potter and Friends, and many more men. Their stories are not based on single hero histories. They are the triumph of the many for the all. Joseph Campbell taught us that the real hero is the boon, the gift, which has value only if shared with others. That's what has always culminated the hero's journey. Tom also gets asked by his largely male contemporaries about what they should do to change their conventional life trajectories in favor of greater positive social and environmental change. And his favorite advice is, act more like a woman. Our history books pay such short shrift to historical communities that flourished because they realized the need to cooperate with each other in the natural world. These long-standing peoples refute the claim that we are programmed selfishly to win at all costs. We humans have built some societies in the past that lasted up to 10,000 years, and we can do it again. But we will have to act fast and bring more of us into the design process. Mutualism. The female archetype also suggests an imperative for our species' survival versus the nasty watermelon seed, mutualism. I believe women and women-like leaders know that the only way forward with any promise is mutualism. Only together can we do better than apart. For example, Americans are not sharing in the prosperity created by winner-take-all capitalism. 1 in 3 Americans works full-time while still meeting the federal definition of poverty. 1 in 3 are Alice's, asset-limited, income-constrained, yet employed, and have to resort to extractive payday loans to make ends meet, and they are mostly single women. That's a bankruptcy in the making, slowly and then all at once. I believe that when everybody owns a little bit of everything and nobody owns too much of anything, we will come round right. That's mutualism to me. In a world eventually governed by a many for the all mutualistic strategy, we might expect to share planetary resources with all other creatures and each other. Think conservation strategies and mass cleanups. We might develop concepts of ownership that depend upon stewardship and sharing versus control and hoarding. Think the land trusts and the platform cooperatives and the DAOs. We might accord power and wisdom to the crowd and eschew cults of personality. Think the leaderless Occupy movement, which, though thwarted by a more powerful interest, was a precursor to the many for the all instinct that will need to prevail if we are to stay on this planet. We women tend to know not that we might see mutualism come to pass, but that we must. Soothsayers. Which brings me to soothsayers. I believe that leaders are often witches in the best sense of the word. Witches see around the corners to warn civilization of impending harm and identify positive solutions to avoid or mitigate that harm. Think Joan of Arc, Harriet Tubman, and Rachel Carson. They hold dark, powerful forces accountable. They believe in benefit to all and harm to none, so they engage in holistic analysis that takes into consideration all stakeholders, all of humanity, all animals, and the natural world upon which we depend. Witches are commonly persecuted, silenced, gaslit, repressed, jailed, stoned, drowned, and often killed across centuries, and the same is true now. It is not that witches are marginalized, it's that those who are marginalized are then branded as witches to make their removal or erasure more justified. Women are killed as witches to blur the causation. They are actually characterized as witches to distinguish and eradicate disobedient women. Men have also died at the stake. Same for people of color who are targeted for their fundamental insurgency to the patriarchy and brutal economic system. They have all been persecuted for challenging the status quo and being dangerous to the few with political power. And their persecution is through terrorism. The few cannot control the vast majority without terror that renders violators and any would-be violators terrified and inert. 2,000 people were crucified around and on the same day as Jesus Christ. He and they were unacceptable threats to the brutal status quo. But witches and soothsayers, Cassandras, are magical creatures who we need now more than ever, and our defenses are growing. When you learn about concentrations of power, you learn about your own power to reject all of that harm and, in sync with the power of the people, make the world come round right. When we lift up these soothsayers into the light and surround them with our collective power, we can protect them and the better future that they offer. So long live the witches, and may we all empower, if not even become them. Lastly, the feminine divine. Contrary to what I might have intended, I was not a perfect daughter to my parents. Though I performed like a circus poodle and was mostly dutiful, I was aloof, especially as life went on and I learned to shield myself against loss. But that is all over now. It's gotten really real. My mom passed. The only way I cannot be abandoned by her loss is by not abandoning anyone else. I mean anyone else, including myself. So there, but for the grace of God, go I. But I've thought that it's the other way around. It's not that you sit in a place to understand the failings of others and acknowledge you might have taken the same path, which can actually sound rather condescending. It's that we are all sinners, and we are all sojourners, and yet God or Goddess gives us their grace. We can all hurt, and we can all come round right. The wicked witch is not actually wicked. She is us. We are all witches. We see around the corners, warn others of what to avoid, fashion a better way forward. My mom taught me that whether she knew it or not. So in the last week of my mom's life, I slept in her bed, right next to her. I didn't want her to be alone. I, with close friends and family, kept watch over her, talked to her, tried to comfort her on a journey which is not yet ours to fully understand. I slept there with her even after she had passed, not just so she wouldn't be alone, but because I didn't want to be alone without her. In fact, she was the one keeping the vigil over us in her final realization of the feminine divine. Lift me up, hold me down, keep me close, safe and sound, burning for treasure dream. Hold me when you go to sleep. Keep me in the warmth of your love when you depart. Keep me safe, safe and sound. Lift me up, hold me down. Keep me close, safe and sound, swimming in an endless sea. Take some time and stay with me. Keep me in the strength of your arms. Keep me safe, safe and sound. Lift me up, hold me down. Keep me safe, safe and sound. Lying side by side to dream. Hold me when you go to sleep. Keep me safe. We need light. We need love. Keep me safe. We need light. We need love. Thank you.
Who has a question for the panel? We're only going to do this about 10 minutes, so if you have a question, raise your hand now. Murphy, it looks like Murphy right here has a question.
Thank you, Kay, for sharing your heart.
Cats.
Always need corrections. That's how I got through in life. Kat, what keeps you motivated outside of your mother?
The real answer is I don't know. I just get up every day like this. In fact, every day I ask myself, is it working? Does it matter? Could someone else do it better? But I think it might come from my childhood that I grew up around some danger and I learned to see around the corners early. And I'm real interested in the sort of blessed unrest and the possibility that all these nascent efforts all over the world by so many wonderful people and organizations are just about to reach a harmonic convergence, come together and really make this a beloved earth.
Yeah. Hi, Kat. My name is Karen Blackwell with Kanda Chocolates, and I have followed your journey for 4 years. And since I just started my business, and one thing that stands out about you is your authenticity. 100%. We could see it on you. We heard it in your voice. And so my question is how you navigate the politics of the business world by putting forth your business acumen while being authentically you at the same time.
Yeah, it's and it's super perilous times right now because the truth is under indictment. From attacking critical race theory to no labels kinds of movements and all this stuff. The other night, somebody asked me what I do in a kind of funny way. And so he said something like, "So what are you up to these days?" And so I said, "Well, I almost always work on environmental well-being, including climate, and trying to advance justice for all people." And he took me apart on using the word justice. It's self-righteous, it's divisive. When you say you're a justice person, you're implying I'm not a justice person. The only problem we should be addressing is climate. Justice is going to alienate important factions that have to get behind climate, especially conservatives. I was taken aback. So I told him the story of Harold Mitchell, who also never separates climate from justice. He's the guy who famously organized his community of Arkwright in Spartanburg, South Carolina, to parlay a $20,000 grant into $300 million of capital investment into his formerly very beleaguered community. They were suffering from 2 Superfunds, 6 brownfield sites, polluting everybody. People were dying of cancer, high rates of birth defects, bloodborne disease, all sorts of horrible stuff going on. Sex trafficking visited upon them by the outside world. No economic base, no tax base, no hope. And when he organized everybody, he got everyone elected to all the bodies, and they made a pact. no displacement, no gentrification. 95% black community, they're all still there today, and it's a beloved community. He served 12 years in the South Carolina legislature. He led the effort to turn that into the most transformative, climate-smart community that I know of. They have rerouted all the infrastructure. They're doing community solar. They're doing aquaponics. They have 11 federally qualified health centers, 500 units of affordable housing that generated cottage business industries in community like asbestos removal. They are remediating the past and marching straight into the best future that I can imagine. And it was because of the combination of climate and justice in a frontline community that knew exactly what needed to be done to get rid of the harm and to create a huge amount of benefit. So I just think we're going to have to stick to our guns. Don't let them take our words.
Okay, hopefully we have Terry here from the U.S. Department of Commerce. Maybe there's a question for her. We have Monique over here. We have a question maybe from a banker to a banker. Any other questions? Or if you have another question for Kat, obviously, that works too. Oh, here we go.
I have a question for you. I know you're a huge philanthropist and you invest and you get behind causes. What is the rubric that you use? Like, how do you determine this is something that I'm going to get behind versus not? Like, how do you, what internal process do you go through, and then what type of external methods do you use to determine that?
So we actually, Tom and I have pursued an arc of activities, and they're cumulative. And the very first thing we did was sort of traditional philanthropy. And it was deeply unsatisfying. It was important to address symptoms, but it wasn't realizing systems change. And we didn't actually know what systems change should look like. So that's when we started the social enterprises, to be working in these large systems. We call them good food, good money, good energy, as real operating actors, real companies, and taking operating roles in them. So we would get the insights of actors in the system who can see the pain points and the leverage opportunities. That wasn't enough, though, because the rules of the game are written badly. So we had to jump into policy and legislation, and we're still very involved in that, including philanthropy reform, which I'll get to in a second. But it turned out Tom had to get into politics. So first he started Next Gen America, which is the largest youth voter mobilization organization in American history. Then he tried to impeach a lawless president. Wish that had worked. And then he ran for president to get climate and race into the conversation from a position of privilege that could afford to do that. You know, a long shot candidate could take more risks. Come home, realize that we need to really lean into equitable economic development, because that's where a lot of the climate justice benefit is going to come from. Working with Harold Mitchell in particular. We resurrected a media company because on the campaign, it's really only storytelling that changes hearts and minds, and that's an important loft to the programmatic, political, and business work. And we took another look at philanthropy reform. So philanthropy has been growing at a very high rate, but not to all good ends. I think there's $1.2 trillion of assets in the private foundations in America alone, and approaching $300 billion in donor-advised funds. Donor-advised funds have no responsibility to give the money away ever. They take a 3 times tax break. No income tax, no capital gains, no inheritance. And they can roll around like dynastic assets. Private foundations have very little responsibility to change the world because they only have to give away 5% of the earnings off their endowments. Again, that tail doesn't wag that dog. It's how the assets are invested. That's what's really driving change. So in our philanthropy now, and we had to learn this along the way, we are really focused on shifting assets first into beneficial impact investments only. No harmful investments. Then into community. You know, make investments in regenerative agriculture that become owned by the community. Make investments in community economic development, where the assets of the community are held in community trust. Like, we need to reallocate wealth, but not just concentrated in some other hands. It really needs to be shared better. And assets are what rich people rely on, I gotta tell you. They live off passive income. Assets are more stable to rely on. So if everybody has a little bit of wealth, they're just a lot more secure and resilient. We do work in the policy arena to try to change the rules of philanthropy, because I think we forget often that philanthropy means foregone government proceeds, tax proceeds. So we're underfunding public education. We're not addressing climate mitigation. We have crumbling infrastructure. And the foundations that are depriving us of that tax proceeds to do that are trying to address those exact problems. Like, let's just not create the problems in the first place. So those are really strong tenets in how we do philanthropy, but I would say the other one is we tend to do philanthropy in the realms that we understand from the social enterprises, so that's informed philanthropy. And we seek systems change. We do, we ran an emergency feeding and farm support program during the pandemic called Growing the Table, which is really important to do to help the farmers, especially BIPOC small farmers, survive the pandemic and to get good organic food to the communities, mostly from whence they come. But we didn't stop there. We actually used it to gain insights about the frailties of industrial ag and how we could transform the system to a regenerative one. And now we're on our way to creating a fair food exchange to make sure we attend to all the livelihood needs of the producers of the best healthy food that we have, and we take over from the industrial system. So.
Thank you. One more question. Is there a question out there? Okay, great.
Kat, it's not really a question, but I just wanted to thank you for your authenticity. I can hear your heart. I appreciate you being transparent because your story resonated with me, especially when you spoke about your mom. I did the exact same thing with my dad until he passed away. So I understand about laying in the bed and just wanting to feel closer to your mom because I did the exact same thing. So I appreciate that. It really moved me. Like I said, your story is somewhat similar. We have a lot in common, and so thank you so much for sharing, okay?
Thank you. That's quite beautiful.
One quick, real quick. We got 3 minutes.
3 minutes. I'll take a minute and a half. What office would you run for?
It may not seem like it because I wander in danger a lot, but I'm so thin-skinned, I don't think I could do it. And I'm sorry, I really encourage people to run for office all the time, and it's kind of hypocritical that I can't seem to do it myself. But, we need more new and different people in charge, and that includes in politics and elected office and regulatory agency posts, too. There's some really good people in this administration who are going to make significant, lasting change. That was really important.
Okay, I've got one. This is the final question. I've got one question. By the way, wonderful talk. In your talk, you mentioned about, probably 50 different problems we have. And obviously, I think everybody here would love to fix those problems. You also mentioned things we've done wrong in the past. A lot of your solutions seem to rely on this government organization, but if you look at it, a lot of those problems we've had today and we've had in the past were created by the very government organization that you're suggesting should take our money and fix those problems. How do you reconcile the fact that a lot of the problems we have are created by the very people you're expecting to fix those problems?
I have a little more sanguine view of government, having gotten some good things done, but I take your point, and I'm actually not as much relying on government as I am on a cultural reawakening. And I would say culture has held civilizations healthy and accountable way more than rules or laws or markets. And the culture's got to arise that we get rid of some of the hallmarks that have caused all these problems, in my view. So I would say we have to go from centralization to decentralization. We can't have, global supply chains that freeze up and lock down overnight. We have to go from consolidated power to shared power, because consolidated power, as far as I can tell, always leads to corruption, and that's a lot of where the harm in government comes from. The ag system is totally gamed by corruption, heavily subsidized, let off the hook for all the harm it does, et cetera. And autonomy. I think we're of the age, if you think about the decentralized autonomous organizations, that's where every player, every actor in those organizations retains their autonomy, remains decentralized, but they kind of get the scale economies of scale, but scale can be very dangerous for us. So I'm in favor of neural networks of networks that are very resilient, very connected, very fluid, porous boundaries. And I think that's a cultural thing that actually is reflected in a lot of the long-standing indigenous communities and civilizations of our past. We just weren't taught about them, or we were taught improperly about them. So in 45,000 years before we started paying attention to mostly European history, there was a lot of successful experimentation. So, I like to, Native American tribes, of which there are many, and I wouldn't lump them all into one, but they pioneered public schools and grazing corridors and wilderness-based production systems for food and government, and a lot of good was going on, and there were a lot of intellectuals who we just lost in the dustbin of history, like that guy Kanda, who I think was a Mohawk. He was a much bigger intellectual phenomenon in Europe than Hobbes, Rousseau, than those. I mean, people thought that. He had thousands of followers because he was very wise about how we self-organize as a civilization. So I'm not letting government off the hook, but if we can get something that's decentralized, not consolidated, autonomous, and responsive, then I think government comes around right too.
And if I can attempt to just add something to what you just said, being that I'm going to be former government in 2 days, and this is what I tell people a lot: your government is only as good as the people who are working in it. And I work for the federal government now for over 20 years. And there are really, really good people that work in the federal government. Like, we believe in what we do. We know that when we help a small business go global or branch out international, not only are we helping that business, we're helping families, we're creating jobs, we're creating change. So I advocate, if we want to see change, government is the problem, but don't forget that there are people that make up our government, and you want good people working in your government. If you have corrupt people working in the government, then you get corrupt results. But if you have good people that really understand the mission and the purpose of why they're doing that job, they show up every day for that mission, you get good results. And that's, I think, to me, that's what makes the U.S. government, with all the problems that we have, different from other governments around the world. So I just wanted to add that. So, as 2 days former federal employee. So thank you so much, Kat. This is like a real treat. And I was texting my husband, and my husband was like, make sure you thank her, because there was a bill. My husband works for the American Heart Association, and you guys just passed a bill in the state legislature. It was SB 348, and that was it improves the standards of free school meals in schools across California. So she really does, she's making change. Those changes are happening, and she is walking what she's talking. So I wanted to make sure I put that plug in for him. So thank you all.
Did you know that Black Americans spent $6.6 billion in the beauty industry last year? $6.6 billion. Well, the total revenue for beauty last year in the United States was $44 billion. And I think that's astounding. It's astounding to me because as a beauty formulator and manufacturer, I'm looking for my money. Where is my money? The truth is, you all know who got that money. Well, if you're up late at night scrolling on Instagram or TikTok, you've probably seen that commercial where women are alleging that those companies use toxic ingredients and those women are sick. They're sick. Cancer, infertility, endocrine system problems, you name it, those women have it, and I don't think it's right. My name is Injaniah Canton. I am the clean beauty formulator and manufacturer for Zahuri Beauty. I began using my chemistry background to formulate non-toxic skin and hair care solutions because I was like one of those women who alleged that. 18 fibroids, chronic fatigue, rashes. I was mortified when I found out that these companies use 9 known toxic ingredients in their personal hygiene products and they didn't let us know. As I started formulating products, I started talking to other clean beauty brands, and we started talking about what makes it so difficult for us to get that $44 billion. We need help with manufacturing. We don't have a place to manufacture our products. So guess what I did? I came up with a solution. Tongue twister. The Zahuri Beauty BIPOC Co-op Eco-Friendly Manufacturing Center. Envision this. A large facility with 10 local BIPOC clean beauty brands all working together to see ourselves in stores everywhere, and it's eco-friendly because we're working together using the same equipment, the same space. Listen to this. This is very, very important. We will have staff from places, vocational training programs to help us with all phases of our work. Administrative, operations, manufacturing, you name it, we're gonna get assistance for this because that's what we need to get a part of that $44 billion. How are we gonna make revenue? Well, the women in the program, or men also, BIPOC makers, they are going to pay to participate. We are also gonna create a 3D virtual marketplace to sell our products, and again, I mentioned that brick and mortar store. We're gonna rent out our manufacturing rooms and manufacture for brands in the United States, especially California. Who's on my team? Me, of course. I have a CFO and a strategic partner, my cousin, Sharita Smith, she be on me. I also have a mentor from the California Manufacturing Technology Assistance Program because I am his star mentee. I also have Florin Deneau, who's over my programs. Listen, I need about $500,000. That's what it's gonna take for this pilot program for 2 years. I'm gonna spend about $200,000 building out the facility in Los Angeles, East LA or South LA, because it gotta be in our community. $60,000 is gonna be for the participants because they may not be able to pay to be in a part of the program, and I don't wanna exclude them. $70,000 for those low and high viscosity filling machines, all that equipment that I'm gonna need. And of course, the list goes on with what I need. So I need everybody to vote for me because these women need it, right? We need manufacturing in Los Angeles and California, and we wanna keep it clean. We are about the environment. Thank you very much. I don't know who the timekeeper was. Oh.
You still have 1 minute. Anything else you want to say?
I have a heart of collective works in economics. I've always been about helping people. I could very easily continue to take Zahuri Beauty to the top because it's literally on its way. But God arrested me, literally, and said, you have to help change this standard of beauty, and you cannot do it on your own. So you need to help others rise up with you. And if manufacturing is the issue, you keep your green beauty standards, your green beauty manufacturing practices, and you teach them how to do it, and you do this pilot, and you replicate it around the world, because the money is there. People spend money on beauty, but I want us, BIPOC makers and other makers, I'm not excluding other people, but as you all know, you know what it's like for BIPOC manufacturers. There is a small percent of BIPOC makers in the world.
Time.
Where are you with this business right now? Have you have any sales? Have you started? So I just want to know if there is anything that you've started. If so, if you can give us your sales revenue cost currently.
Absolutely. The manufacturing center is currently in its pilot phase. I have conversations with WLCAC, which is in Watts. It's a huge facility where I'm looking to have the pilot manufacturing program. The accelerator program is also in its formal phase of the pilot. I have 12 women already signed up. They're not just in Los Angeles, they are across the United States. We are right now, I'm going around pitching to get money to start it. But Watts is so invested in this. They're like, come, oh, I'm gonna cry. They're like, come and do it. Because people need it. There are so many BIPOC makers, they just need a space to create. So that's it, yeah. But as the business owner of Zahuri Beauty, I am an expert at manufacturing.
So my question is about manufacturing. How do you see yourself in relation to the competition? Because there are quite some white label manufacturers who do all natural products, much bigger than you are. A lot of brands are working from. So how do you see yourself surviving in that space and being competitive?
You know, it's being transparent, being very transparent. These are what we are about in terms of ingredients. I dabbled in private label for a minute, and then I looked at the ingredients and I said, there's nothing unique about this. Most of the brands you see on shelves is from the same private label company. They're just marketing as something else. So we're going to be transparent, and we're going to say there's room for everybody because it's a $44 billion industry. All I'm saying is BIPOC makers deserve a right to that, as well as clean beauty makers. There's going to be competition. I'm okay with competition, but we know who our target audience is, and they are ready to buy.
Hi, I had a question about eco-friendly. Specifically, what does that mean in terms of how you will select the small businesses you will work with in this facility? What type of eco-friendly will they need to be, and what are the processes you're going to use to kind of vet that?
Thank you very much. In the application program, where I've been doing discovery calls for the last couple of months, and I asked them, what are your eco-friendly, sustainable practices? All of them have some, and others of them say, I want to, I just don't know how. And so I'm gonna be honest with you, a part of being in the program, you have to move to it. We have to talk about biodegradable packaging, reusable packaging, compostable packaging, because we are in an environmental crisis, and the beauty industry is almost #1 with wastefulness. All that single-use plastic packaging is horrible. It's wreaking havoc on our environment. And so Zahuri Beauty, what we do is we do refillables. We sell products in larger sizes so people don't have to continue to buy the single-use packaging. So it's honestly, that's how you're gonna be a part. It's honest, it's not a yes or no. You may not be as far in as I am, but you're willing to go there, because we have to be environmentally conscious. And that's the same with sharing packaging, right? We're gonna share packaging. We're gonna be sharing equipment.
So you are saying that you have 12 women in your pilot right now. What type of products you currently are making? What are the specific cosmetics? And then also, do you have any trademarks, patent? How is the product different than what's on the market?
Thank you. So one of the things I'm also doing as I'm looking at equipment, my mentor, Michael, is saying, and Janiyah, you cannot do everything. Pick certain products. So he told me to start with low viscosity, which is basically like your oils, your aqueous solutions. Now I do a sunscreen, so I'm like, what am I gonna do? He's gonna said, you gotta get manual filling machines. You have to start somewhere. So these women will have to do the more low viscosity products. We will have a commercial blender, we'll have a refrigerator. They will be able to use non-toxic solutions that don't require equipment, but just need filling. We're gonna move as we grow and get money, and also formulate for other.
Okay,
Okay, time's up.
Sorry.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You were wonderful.
Imagine the taste of smooth, velvety chocolate. And now I invite you to also imagine that chocolate that does more than just be a treat. I want to introduce you to Kanda chocolates. The fair trade chocolate industry is $11.1 billion. And we are proud of that industry. I too am a fair trade brand. But of that $11.1 billion, less than 1% source at the place where they bring the chocolate, bring the cocoa beans. And so Kanda Chocolates has stepped in so that we can actually revolutionize ethical sourcing, bring the manufacturing back to where the chocolate comes from. Kanda Chocolates is here because we taste amazing. What you may not know about Ghanaian cocoa beans is that they source, or they produce, they are the second largest exporter of cocoa in the entire world. What comes as a surprise is that many people don't eat Ghanaian chocolate, but you are. If you've ever had the finest chocolates in the world, specifically Belgium, you have eaten Ghanaian chocolate. Belgium does not make cocoa beans, but Ghana does. And so Ghana deserves more credit for the superior cocoa bean that they make. And there are different types of cocoa beans. You get different types of tasting notes, just like you do with coffee. With coffee, you have 800 tasting notes. Some prefer Kona, some prefer Jamaican blue coffee. It's all different. But the same thing goes for cocoa beans. You pick up the region and the flavors from where you source the cocoa. And Ghana is that superior cocoa bean. And so I'm here to say that all the countries that are getting credit for those cocoa beans, Ghana deserves better. But I'm also saying that for those of us that love chocolate, we deserve more from the brands that we source from. I'm asking us to take it further than just being fair trade. My journey with Kanda Chocolates began in 2018 when I took a business mission trip to Ghana. And during that time, the first time I tasted that dark chocolate, I was like, wow, this is creamier and smoother than any other dark chocolate I'd ever tasted. And then on top of that, it didn't have that bitter taste. Where is this on the shelf back home? And I wasn't convinced that I needed to start a business. That's not why I went to Ghana, although it was a business mission trip. I was just exploring and working in corporate America. And when I got there and I tasted it, I said, this needs to be on the shelf, came home, didn't find it there. Didn't find it on the shelf, so I created Kanda Chocolates. I created Kanda Chocolates to highlight the underappreciation of the Ghanaian cocoa bean, but also to bring and raise awareness about ethical sourcing. We are fair trade. Our chocolate is grown in Ghana, processed in Ghana, manufactured in Ghana, and then shipped to the United States for sales. So all of our process takes place in Ghana with 100% fair trade cocoa beans. We are more than just a brand, we are a movement, and I want you to join us. I've had a lot of success as a solopreneur. That success has involved me being on Amazon, that has involved me being interviewed by Kristen Bell. I've been in Vanity Fair, I've been in USA Today. One of my most exciting accomplishments was being the featured chocolate at the Wearable Art Gala that was hosted by Tina Knowles, and if you don't know who that is, it's Beyonce's mom. In addition to that, we are just this week, the most exciting thing was being named Amazon's Choice. We sell on Amazon, we sell on our Shopify store, and we also sell in small mom and pop shops across the United States. So we've done all of that success, but I've done it alone and I need help. So let me share the numbers to entice you to want to partner with me. Our bar retails for $7, and that gets you a 3.5 ounce bar. It's comparable to what you'd find in any Whole Foods or organic food store. And so for that $7, last year we sold $88,000 worth of bars. $43,000 of that was in COGS, right? The cost of doing business. And then the $45,000 that remained was a gross profit. That's 51% margin. So the numbers are there. This year, we are projected to do $125,000 in sales. So I want to celebrate that. But you may say, well, she's been on all these magazines, you've done all this, why haven't you sold more? I am simply limited by the amount of inventory that my own cash can buy. I have taken it as far as I can go by myself. So I'm asking for your help. My first order.
Time.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was amazing. And I did taste the chocolate, and it's very tasty.
Thank you.
Can you talk about the logistics and the time frame it takes then from manufacturing them and getting them over to the States? And would we be the first, country that you would be looking to sell, or would there be others?
Thank you for your question. And I sell in the United States currently, so it's only been in the United States. We'll look to expand that. Our chocolate is manufactured in Ghana, so that we typically reach Ghana when it's cocoa season. So we do the harvesting in the fall, and then you can have a run from there. But it takes about 3 to 4 weeks for the manufacturing process, for the boxing. The little bits of chocolate that you're eating, the small squares, are manually, there's tape going on. So there's a lot of a manual process. But from the cocoa bean getting there and being manufactured, 3 to 4 weeks, also the labels, and then shipping it over. So it's about a 3 to 4 week process.
What is the ask?
Right? It's $250,000 with $100,000 going to inventory, another $50,000 going to warehousing, and another $100,000 that'll go to hiring amazing humans.
So from all the opportunities that you have to go selling, because you're on Amazon, where do you think your biggest opportunity is, and where do you think you're not yet and feel like, so the current opportunities, where's your biggest opportunity to grow? Mm-hmm. And then what are some new opportunities that you really would like to invest in for distribution?
I love that question. Thank you. I loved all the questions, but thank you for that question. I think our biggest growth opportunity is in corporate gifting. So when you think about a business and who takes pieces of what you make from your business, part of the pieces go to the wholesaler, some of them go to the retailer, some of it goes to Amazon. But guess where I get to keep all the profit is when I sell it at the price, the retail price, to a corporate person, because they're not reselling it, right? So there's no fees to take out of it. They are gifting it. And so we've had a lot of great success. This weekend we'll be at the California Black Caucus in Pebble Beach. So lots of success with corporations buying from us. And we were just tapping into, we really should try to grow this market, right? So there are some in that market that aren't ethically sourced, that aren't seen in the same way, but people love them, like we love those brands. That being said, how do I get into someone's gift box and give them an ethically sourced gift?
Thank you. I had a question about kind of how you understanding, the problem and the solution. Kind of how do you stand out amongst others? Because there are folks who, really pitch in their advertising and marketing is really 100% ethically sourced, fair trade. You can even get an app and it shows the distribution model and all that. So how do you stand out as a candy brand in the field that kind of, has folks doing this already?
Absolutely. Thank you for your question. First, we stand out because we are one of the few in the United States that are manufacturing at the source. So we are all ethically sourcing and doing what we can. And it's challenging. I'm not going to say it's easy to manufacture in Ghana, but I'm one of the few. So I definitely, that in and of itself is saying I'm giving back to Ghana with jobs and supporting their economy and also exporting cocoa. So how I come at it is entirely different. I think other people can come along for that journey. And giving credit to where the cocoa comes from. So when you look at the front of my bar, it says this is grown, processed, and packaged in Ghana. There's nothing to miss about that, right? I'm giving credit back to Ghana so they know that they are the ones making the superior cocoa bean, just like you have a Kona coffee or Kenyan coffee at Starbucks. So that's the way that I'm standing out and differentiating myself. Also with a trademark, also being a certified B Corp, also aligning myself with other businesses that are ethically sourced and also sourcing at the manufacturer or where the beans come from.
Yeah, I like how you did Ganda and Kanda.
Yes,
chocolates.
Yes. I came out before Wakanda, I just want to say. But it was very good. It was very similar, yes.
So who is behind you, your leadership? Who is your team that you're going down to Kanda?
It is me. And that's my first order with a raise, is as soon as I raise funds, is to find another business partner that has the same business acumen as I. One of the things I didn't get to, and I know she's going to cut me off, but one of the things I didn't get to say is that I have 15 plus years in leadership roles. I started off as a biology major, worked in the lab. I have operations, I have sales leadership. I worked for only 2 companies, Abbott Laboratories and Medtronic. So I bring all of that, right? But that can only get you so far, so I need a business partner for sure. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, time. In Chicago, February 1972, there was a man named Matthew Hayes who had a burning desire to be an entrepreneur. At the time, he was married for 20 years, 9 children, and worked 2 jobs, at the docks and at the steel mill. But that desire to be an entrepreneur did not subside. So, with the support of his loving wife and family, he took everything that he had and opened up the first Black-owned restaurant lounge right next door to the Ford auto plant. Talk about location, location, location. Unfortunately, that same summer, his establishment was burned. And due to the racial lens of that time, insurance carriers felt that Black-owned businesses was what? Uninsurable. But he had a friend and an insurance broker that not only saw the value in him, but the value in his business and the legacy he was building, and made sure that he had the right insurance coverage to rebuild, and which, when he was restored, he led a successful business for decades to come. That man is my grandfather. Fast forward 50 years later, that entrepreneur spirit has not died. In 2022, PolicyStar Insurance Solutions was born. We solved the problem of insurance inequities within culturally diverse communities. Our solution is unique because not only are we a woman-owned and a Black-owned insurance agency, but I have seen and lived and experienced the disparities our communities have dealt with when it comes to stricter underwriting requirements, lack of appetite, and market access. We tackle this challenge by what? Positioning ourselves in such communities, offering a host of insurance carriers through our strategic partnerships, which opens the door for market access and competitive premiums. Since inception, we have made over $250,000 in sales. Our revenue streams include commissions based off premium sales, broker fees for procuring and customized insurance plans, and this summer, we launched our vendor management solution program. We saw a pain point in clients who host large-scale events and managing all of their vendors and their insurance requirements. So essentially, we became the risk management liaison between the event host, the vendors, and the venues. It is important that our team reflects the core value of PolicyStar Insurance Solutions, which is one, being service, serving in excellence, and educating our clients. That's why we have myself, the founder and CEO, PolicyStar Insurance Solutions, Mark Todd, who is the Director of Business Development, Lucille Cephas, who is our Director of Client Relationships, and as of this Monday, we brought on our first advisory board member, Chandra Coupe, who has over 20 years in the financial industry. She has worked for firms such as KPMG, PepsiCo, Groupon, and is now the VP of Finance for Henkel North America. She will lend us her financial expertise to make sure that we are financially sustainable for our rapid growth. And because of that rapid growth, we're asking for $350,000. $100,000 will go to working capital. $150,000 will go to our staff support, which would include 2 account managers, as well as our legal services that will ensure and oversee our contracts and regulatory matters. And as we embark on this revolutionary era of technology, $100,000 will go to the implementation of artificial intelligence to streamline our distribution channels and to enhance our end users' experience. I want to thank you for your time and the opportunity to present as PolicyStar Insurance Solutions protects you, your future, and your legacy. Thank you.
Great presentation, and I'm so glad you were able to come this time. I met her last time, and she wasn't ready for the presentation, so congratulations.
Thank you.
So my question was, you said you had $250,000 in sales.
Yes,
Can you
correct.
tell me where that sales come from, and
Yes.
out of that, what was your profit, if there was gross profit?
Yes, so out of that $250,000 came from commissions, premiums sold, broker fees, and this summer when we launched our vendor management program, our clients ate it up, only because they were hosting large events, and so we just said, hey, we can help you, and created a whole operation, and they loved it, and they paid for it. So we found that opportunity in the market, and it was found itself to be very valuable. And our profit margins, our contribution margin at the time, as of right now, is 72%. Because we work with insurance carriers, our commissions either is based on, our commissions has a range of 12% and as high as 75%, right? But our target market are business owners, and so with those policies, we typically get around 12.5 to 18% on the premium, and with our profit, everything that we're making back is going right back to the business. So I don't really see much of a profit as of yet, just to keep, on our operations up to par. Yes.
I have a question on the channels that you use from a marketing perspective, and how are you going to get your new business?
Okay, great question. So you see these hills right here? Well, last year, they was ran down to the ground, okay? Because I hit the ground running. I was going to different events. I was setting up tables, just as of Bev Moore, right? We were hitting local community events, partnering with community stakeholders, such as our Chamber of Commerce. We're a part of the National Association of Insurance Agencies. And so I just made sure that, we were seen. I'm a firm believer of the power of suggestion. Right? So even through our emails, our campaigns, that's a strategic way of marketing. And so our number one marketing channel is actually referrals. We love serving. So our clients refer us time and time and time again.
I had a question. So thank you for your financial ask and kind of laying everything out really specifically for us. I had a question about your overall vision. You seem to be doing well, seem to have a great plan for kind of what it is that you want to do. Ultimately, what is your vision for the $300,000? In the best case scenario, what would you look like? What would that now mean for you?
Okay, so in 10 years, our vision is to be a globally recognized insurance brokerage. Right? And we just don't want to be a brokerage that is being bought out. We're looking at this as a legacy, so I can pass down to my daughter and her children and her children. And so as we grow, I really want to start looking into mergers and acquisitions. As smaller agencies who are looking for an exit plan, we can still keep the foundation of what they have built in their community, but also buy them out. And that is actually the number one way our competitors have been in business for 50 to 100 years.
Thank you.
You were saying that your sales were $250,000?
Yes.
So what are you asking? What amount of money do you want?
$350,000.
Oh, $350,000.
Yes.
Okay.
You and I, when we walked to lunch, we talked a little bit about competition, because this is also a very competitive market. You did a great job what your solution is and your problem. How do you still think, to stay relevant, be competition?
So with our competition, for them, of course, it's bottom line, it's profit, it's padding their pockets, right? It's taking over the little businesses and letting them go. For us, I really like how Kat talked about climate and justice. My daughter's name is Justice, and we want to keep that as part of the forefront of our business. And I believe that will separate us from our competitors. If you want to go to somebody who's going to take your money every year, don't call you, don't check up on you, don't build a relationship with you, then go right ahead. But if you want someone and a company that values you, we treat the same $25 a month premium person the same way as a $10,000 a month premium person. There's no difference. They still get a quality of service. And I think that shows longevity, building relationships, and really partnering with our clients. We like them as family almost.
Time's up.
Okay, thank you. Thank you all.
Never judge a book by its cover. Many people, when they hear the words inner city, they think crime, poverty, and lack of resources. I agree. The problem is the inner city don't have the funding and the resources necessary to educate our children. I am a product of the inner city. I grew up in South Central LA Watts. I was raised by a man who raised 3 little girls, all under the age of 10. Coming from the neighborhood I grew up in, society says I should be dead, in jail, or on drugs. Clearly, I'm not dead. Never been in jail, and never done drugs. As a matter of fact, I beat the odds. I attended college, I graduated, and for over 20 years I have worked in the accounting industry. My daddy always told me, it's not where I'm from, it's where I'm going. From an early age, I learned about faith. Faith without work is dead. I also learned to speak positive words over my own life and to never let anyone tell me what I can and cannot do. Lana's classroom motto is, because we can, we will. We are a math tutoring service. We work with school-aged children pre-K through 5th grade on basic math and English fundamentals. We also offer fun-filled games and activities for the children. So not only are they learning, they're having fun while they learn. I have 2 business partners, a CMO and a COO. We realize no 2 people learn the same. Therefore, we focus on the 4 different learning styles: visual, auditory, kinesthetic, reading and writing. Now, in case you're wondering, how do I know no 2 people learn the same? Let's make it personal. I have ADD, and I've always known I learn just a little different, and I'm okay with that. Revenue-wise, as of today, we have about 4,000 in sales. Now, we realize that's low. We are a pre-revenue business. In 2020, I was given the vision to work with some children. Our country was hit with a deadly disease, COVID. My granddaughter suffered and struggled with virtual learning, and so did so many other children. I began working with her, and within a couple of months, I helped bring her grades from a C to an A. I noticed her excitement for learning had diminished, her grades had dropped, but after I sat and worked with her and helped her grades improve, that's when I realized I have to get started in trying to help some other children, because she's not alone. She is not alone. We are here seeking $1 million in funding. We will use that funding to allocate to purchase a training facility, office equipment, get our curriculum accredited, and hire 1 to 2 more tutors. We are here to try to bridge the gap, but we can't do it by ourselves. No matter what you think when you hear the words inner city, please remember these children, these babies, the ones on the screen, the ones you don't see, they need our help. I'm just one person, but I'm here to do my part. And we're asking for help. Thank you.
Thank you, very inspiring. I have a question about the product. I'm not very clear what your product is that you are exactly selling. Is this one-on-one solutions? Are you planning to record courses? I mean, what is it exactly that you're selling? And then if you can also say what is your expected sales once you would have the funding? Like, how do you grow those sales?
Okay, we're looking to add at least 10 more kids to our program. And as far as the packages, we do in-person, one-on-one. We do in-person private. It depends if that's what the parent wants. And also small groups of 5 via Zoom. Right now, what I do, I'm on social media actively. If you visit my TikTok page, you will see me actively, constantly posting curriculum, where I'm working problems out. What separates me from what I've seen so far, no matter how I Google and try to say what exactly is a 4th grader working on. I see someone working a problem out, but I don't see them showing how to check the answer. That's something I do. I don't show how to work a problem one way, because remember, everybody don't learn the same. So just because you work in one way don't necessarily mean they may get it. So again, if you visit my TikTok, you will see various ways that I show how to break it down. I'm one of those people, and again, I'm not ashamed to say it. Sometimes you have to talk to me as if you're talking to a 2-year-old, and I'm okay with that. And then sometimes you can talk to me at the level that I am. I'm 56, I'm not ashamed. It just depends. It just depends on what it is, because my attention span is short. It's very short. I learned you may have to draw circles and squares and graphs. I'm okay with that. I learn how I learn.
So you charge for tutoring
Yes, I do.
kids? That's where you get your income from?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes.
And then it depends from individuals to families, then depending on the prices range?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
we have, yeah.
So you said you have online, and then you also have in person?
Mhm.
So do you go to their places, or do they come to you?
They come to my home. Actually, again, when I started the program, I actually took one of my bedrooms in my home and I turned it into a classroom.
Thank you. I had another question just about earnings and revenue. So you say you're getting another 10 students. How much revenue, is a year's or however long amount of tutoring for each student? How much are you profiting? And then how many how many students does each tutor have?
We would have about 2 to 3 students per tutor. Revenue-wise, typically it's really up to the parent. We ask that the children come at least twice a week for 2 hours, so that would be about 16 hours a month. And depending on the packages vary. It could be from $300 to $350, and that's a package. But it really depends. We do consultations, and once they tell me exactly what it is that their child is struggling with, then we take and we customize that package accordingly.
Just a quick question then. Have you thought about doing more grant applications and then offering your tutoring free?
I have done grants as far as Hello Alice. I have applied for several of those, but I have not thought about doing them for free.
So do you have more than one location? Where is your part?
Right now, just one location. It's in my home. I literally turned a bedroom into a classroom. Yes, that's what you see up there. That's my classroom.
So once you have the facility that you're looking for, like build it or buy it,
yes.
Where will you get your students? Like, is there a need? I know there is a need in the community. I'm aware of that. But will they come to you with the price be? So I just want to know what you're targeting is achievable.
Right now, it's in my home. But once we get the facility, no, I would take it from my home into that facility. How we are right now recruiting children, everything is networking, social media, word of mouth, basically, just word of mouth.
Okay, time's up.
That's it.
Time's up.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is NaChe Thompson, founder and CEO of NaChe Cosmetics. I have been wearing makeup for a full 20 years, and for all of those 20 years, I've struggled to find products that looked great on my skin tone. I can think of one particular instance where I had a job interview and I needed makeup for it. So I went to my local cosmetics store, and it had hundreds of products on the shelves, all made by companies claiming they could make me feel more beautiful, and yet none of those products looked great on my skin tone. And so instead of leaving that day feeling empowered and ready to crush my interview, I left feeling humiliated, overlooked, and excluded. And I'm not alone. All over the world, people with beautiful dark skin struggle to find their perfect makeup match. And NaChe Cosmetics presents a solution to that problem through products specifically designed to complement dark skin tones. The global cosmetics market is an $806 billion market, and Black women specifically spend 80% more on cosmetics products than any other demographic in the world. And so NaChe Cosmetics projects that after our first investment, we can make $8 million in 1 year and quickly expand our product line and scale to $60 million in just 3 years. NaChe Cosmetics presents a global opportunity because people with dark skin exist within every country, in every race, in every region in the world. And so our strategy is to capture our local market here in California and to quickly expand across the United States to places with high concentrations of dark skin makeup wearers before expanding into the global market to places like Southeast Asia, Brazil, different countries in Africa, the UK, and Australia. Our strategy is to implement a multidimensional aggressive marketing approach that encompasses paid ads, public relations, influencer partnerships, and experiential events. We'll sell our products through our website, on Amazon, and in retail spaces. We'll retain our customers through loyalty programs and incentives, and we'll expand our offerings by applying what we've learned about color theory to other applications like hair dyes and other color products as well. Our customers come to us very frustrated with the state of a beauty industry that routinely excludes them. And so they're saying that they are happy to finally find products that have considered them and that truly meet their needs. Some of our competitive advantages as one of the first product lines designed specifically for and by dark-skinned women are that we are high quality, we're vegan, cruelty-free, all of our packaging is recyclable, and one of the first things we'll do with our investment is to implement refills so that our beautiful bottle, which you have in front of you here today, can be reused time after time. We're very proud to be a clean and sustainable beauty brand. I am a one-woman show, for full transparency, but I have a team of expert advisors that have provided me guidance and direction, people from the Bebop Center, from McKinsey's Next 1B founders. I've got partnerships with reputable cosmetics labs, with influencers, and with marketers, all of whom are waiting in the wings to help me implement my business plan with fidelity. And so NaChe Cosmetics is seeking $1.5 million in an investment so that we can expand our product line from 3 products to 35 products, so that we can implement our full marketing strategy, and so that we can hire a small but mighty team. And our investors will get paid back when the company goes public in 8 years. And so I want to thank you for taking the time to listen to me today and invite you to join me on my journey to build NaChe Cosmetics into a globally recognized, truly inclusive beauty company that's dedicated to meeting the unique makeup needs of dark-skinned beauties worldwide. Thank you.
So you sell 3 products right now?
Right now, yes.
What is your annual sales?
Right, we soft launched in October of 2022, just online on our website with no marketing budget, and we've done a little bit over 5,000 in sales, and we expect that to be way more once we have a true marketing budget.
So the big brands, which are very hard to compete against, it's a very crowded market, are much more and more going into the diverse skin tones. We see toners that have 48 different shades. So how do you expect to keep, because they have the budget, the research, to keep up with that, because they are going, what I see, more diverse, but maybe you use them. So
yes.
Again, how do you think that's competition, and how do you stay relevant in that world?
While I'm happy to hear that different companies are getting on board with inclusivity, they're still not addressing the needs of our darkest skinned women on the planet. And so there are women every day posting online about how they're being left out still to this day. Even though companies have expanded their product offerings, there's still a huge set of the population, myself included, that's often excluded and struggles to find products that are not only sustainable, but also that feel good on our skin and truly match our skin tones. Oh, so to directly answer your question about how I plan to compete, we plan to speak directly to our target customers, always keeping them in the loop and always including dark-skinned women in every phase of the product development process. Right now, we do that through focus groups, and no matter how big the company gets, I'm committed to continuing with that practice.
How long have you been around? And then my other question was on the manufacturing process. Is that local here, or maybe you can talk a little bit about that?
Sure. We spent 3 years on product development, working with different labs all in the United States to develop our products, going back to our focus groups, refining our formulas, and it's all done in the United States. Everything you see in front of you, made in the United States. I'm proud of that. And how long have we been around? 3 years on product development. We soft launched with just these 3 products because that's what I could afford to release in October of 2022. So just about a year.
I saw you have a lot of ambitions for the go-to-market. How do you plan with, this funding, what do you think is the most important one that you want to focus on first without getting too diverse?
Yes, so 2 things at first. Hiring that street team to get out into the community to places where there are tons of black and dark-skinned women, that works for us so far. So just hiring a team to multiply our efforts so that we can go to 2 events every week. And then the digital marketing, so paid ads across platforms, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, that's where most of our customers live, and eventually branching out into YouTube and Lemonade as well.
So I opened your package on the lipstick, and I think that's awesome. Your
Thank you.
packaging is great. It's just unique. With your products, what do you really want to start with? Like, this is the lipstick, but do you have something that you want to start to launch so it intrigues people to want to try to use all more of your products?
Yes, so we'll, first of all, have 20 lipstick shades ready. So we're gonna release those right away as soon as we have the funding. And then it's gonna take us a year to work with the formulator to develop all of our foundations and concealers. And so as soon as we get the funding, we'll start that. We have the relationship, but we'll start the process, and it'll take 1 year, and we'll launch those products within a year. That's also how we're able to project such high revenue so quickly, because we're quickly expanding our product line.
So to be clear, do you already have a foundation template, or you still need to do the laboratory testing around the foundation?
Yes, we still need to do the testing. It'll take a full year, and those will be patentable formulas, which is really important to me. We already have trademarks, but I would like to patent all of our formulas to make the company more valuable when it's time to exit.
Kudos on the packaging.
Thank you.
All right, I think you're done.
Okay, thank you so much.
If someone offered you an all-expenses-paid trip to Africa, would you go? I know I would. What if one of the stipulations was that you couldn't go on a safari, you couldn't go to Egypt, you couldn't go to South Africa, and you couldn't go to Morocco? Which African country would you choose to visit for the food, for the culture, for the people? Many people aren't able to answer that question due to media misrepresentation of Africa's association with poverty and crime and disease, and the lack of representation of the beauty and diversity of the 54 countries and 3,000 ethnic groups. Most travelers, or oftentimes, travelers don't really know which destinations are safe, and they don't know what to do when they get there. That's where Connect comes in. Connect is a travel app exclusively for the continent of Africa. Not sure where to go? You can take our quiz. We'll match you to a country based off the type of experience you want to have. Skiing in Lesotho, all-inclusive beach resorts in Mauritius, city exploration and fantastic nightlife in Ghana. Users can receive a curated itinerary for that experience and be matched to local tour guides and travel agents to handle their trips. Additionally, each country will have a page which will have photos, videos, and information, so users are able to experience the country and see if they connect with it. Now, our competitors are travel agencies, travel apps, and travel groups. The main problem with travel apps and travel agencies is they focus almost exclusively on safaris and landmarks, not culture. Also, most travel agencies are located in the US, Canada, and Europe. So imagine me in Nairobi, my bags got delayed, or I see a place that I'm interested in and going, and I want to know if it's safe, or I want to know if it's okay, and my travel rep is back home sleeping due to the 10, 12-hour time difference. That's why we need local tour guides and travel agencies. Also, with travel groups can be pretty good, but the main issue with travel groups is that the organizers choose the date, they choose the location, and they create the itinerary. So travelers are not able to choose a date that's most convenient for them. They are not able to choose the date that they want to go or choose a destination, and they are not able to change up the itinerary. So if they want to do anything outside of that itinerary, they have to pay extra. And if it's something in the itinerary that they don't want to do, too bad, it's part of the package, you got to pay for that anyway. Connect offers a marketplace that has excursions, tour guides, and travel agents, so users are able to search through and find activities and companies that will cater to their needs. Now, we are pre-revenue. We plan on launching in March of 2024. And any bookings that are done through our app, we will get a percentage of. Companies that have more than 5 listings will be charged a fee. We will have advertisement availability for restaurants, hotels, airlines, excursions, etc. My name is Raquel Scott. I am the founder and CEO of Connect. I am on a mission to help dispel the myths and harmful stereotypes about Africa and Africans. I have been, for the past 11 years, visiting back and forth to different African countries. I lived in Ghana for a year. I know firsthand the horrors and challenges of trying to figure out the visa application and the immunization and which shots do I need, and connecting with local tour guides, and I don't know if it's safe because they don't have a website or credentials. Connect solves all of those issues. I recently hired a user experience designer from Kenya, and we have 2 members on our board of representation. One is a retired software system designer with over 50 years experience. That's John Harris. And we also have Mark Ellie, who is a digital media executive. We are asking for $300,000. Roughly 50% of that, about $143,000, is going to go towards app development, web app development, and content creation or content licensing. We also need money for software, for software and equipment, and we need about $69,000 towards our marketing campaign and our advertisement so that we can attract users and attract businesses. We also need to connect with more locals, so the rest of the money will go towards outreach. It will go towards small portion, about 16%, $48,000 will go towards salaries of our team as we continue to develop. And that's gonna get us started and get us on track to hopefully having about 900 users with revenue of, hopefully, if we can get to that, $700,000 in our first year. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Gary, so much. I just want to say thank you, first of all, for this opportunity. I want to tell you about my company. It's called A Bevmore. I'm April, and my mom is Beverly, and it's all about love. So here at A Bevmore, I want to tell you how it came about. My son, when he was small, he was allergic to pretty much everything. So my mom had to go, and she said, you know what, it's unfair if my son could not have something that he could eat, you know, that he enjoyed eating that was delicious. So she baked and she baked until we got this wonderful recipe that was clear in its labeling. You know, my son, we won't end up in the emergency room or have to give him an EpiPen every day. So our signature cookie is our oatmeal raisin cookie. And the reason this is our signature cookie is it's actually made with honey. And there's so many advantages of using with honey because most times we use sugar, but our signature cookie is made with honey. Also, we want to focus on transparency of our brand. All of our labeling, you know exactly what you're going to eat. You don't have to worry about tons of preservatives or, you know, things that you can't even pronounce. It's just household things. Simple, high quality ingredients made with love. Can you go to the next slide? Since our launch in August of 2023, which was actually a couple of weeks ago, I'm so excited to announce that you can find A Bevmore cookies in San Diego, in an office building. I have a wonderful partner who is not here at the moment, Mr. Alan Maxwell, and also from the Polk Institute. How this came about was, it started from a little idea. It was something that I thought that I could do, and I baked some cookies and I asked Gary, hey, can I have some tasters just to present to the class? And from that is how I was able to meet Mr. Maxwell, and he tasted the cookies and he said, I will be your partner. And so as you see our table, we've come a long way since August. You can find us in San Diego. We focus on business-to-business sales. And the reason we do this is we choose small businesses such as PolicyStar because they do referrals. So our packaging, it doesn't take up a lot of room on your shelves, as well as it's eye-catching, and we say the flavor takes care of itself. And as for our numbers, our goal is to do every location that we're at least 30 boxes per week. Currently, I'm the only person that's baking, so I'm asking for $100,000 to hire someone to help me increase my revenue. I'm so happy to announce that I just got another deal for a car dealership, and my cookies will be in another store, and he has 5 dealerships. So I work still. So I can't bake all the time. So that's what my ask is for, and as well as marketing, and to just continue to spread the brand. So that's a bit more. Oh, sorry, Made with Love. Keep going, if you don't mind. Our team, as I said, is M Blackwell. I also have Valerie Jefferson, who is a head of financials, and she used to be an underwriter. So with Valerie Jefferson, yeah, keep going, sorry. I'm so nervous. With Valerie Jefferson, she's part of, she heads financials, so she's a great advisor. Of course, we have the Polk Institute, M Blackwell, who has launched and helped launch at least 10 successful businesses, is my partner. And here's us in the store that's in San Diego, and that's me shipping some cookies out that I made. And this is our team, as you see, and Mr. Kevin Shine, he is, he's in music, because I also do music, actually, but because of that organization is how I even discovered the Polk Institute, because it's all about networking. So the next slide, please. Okay, I guess that's it. I mean, I don't know. Oh, I have to tell you this. Also, thank you to the Polk Institute, because there was a class in which Tim Dura, we had a class on figuring out our economics of one sale. And I had to break it down to know exactly what I should be charging. So I broke down, like, I buy it in bulk, and I broke it down to each ingredient, to the teaspoon, how much it's gonna cost, you know, for one package. So with that math, I found out that I have more than 200% margin of sale. I can't, I'm just having a blank right now. But it's more than 200%, so thank you for that. And that's my ask right there, so. All right.
What's fun about today is that in reality, there are no losers, because to stand up here in front and do this is not easy. So I want to do something a little different. I'd like the entire audience to stand except for the participants. Please, the entire audience stand. Let's turn around, face the participants, and give them a standing ovation. Thank you. So there was a time in my life when I used to coach college women's basketball. And whenever we'd have a W, I'd come into the locker room and I'd say, ladies, you were fantastic today. And ladies, you were fantastic today. Another hand, great job. So here's how we're going to prove our point about no one being losers. Some of the ladies are new to us, and all the ladies that are new to us, we're going to invite you to join the Polk Institute in our cohort 4 class. So it's a tuition free, I mentioned a little earlier. Now some are a little bit more advanced than others. So we have a first year incubator for the pre-revenue companies. And then we have a second year accelerator for those who are already making money. So we have a selection process. I'd like you all to apply. We're in the submission process now. If you are pre-revenue, we want to put you in our incubator, which will give you a 2-year program, 10 months of all Zoom training. And then the second year is some training, but we pair you with a mentor to get you ready for capital. And so we're not sure right now if you're going to be in the incubator or the accelerator, but we do know that you're all coachable. Because I was part of the coaching team, we had 4 different coaching opportunities. The first day, kind of a train wreck, but on the first day, they came back a second time, and they all proved that they were coachable. And I didn't know them, they didn't know us, and we maybe gave them a little tough love. But instead of getting mad at us, they went back and came back, and we saw the coaching. And we already saw the grit today. So, ladies, I want all of you to be part of the Polk Institute because all of you guys are winners. In real business, 7 out of 10 are going to fail in startups. But failure is okay because guess what? We learn and then we start again. That's what real entrepreneurs do. And my advice to any entrepreneur, make sure it's your passion because it's a loser sport, it's a blood sport. If it's your passion, you get punched in the gut, you get punched in the mouth, you shake it off, and you keep going. You do it for money, you get punched in the mouth, you say, oh, I'm tapped out, I'm not doing this. So I see we have our judges here. Where are the rest of them? Oh, so let's bring the judges up. Let's make sure we know who's who. So we have a day test Faye from Sterling Bank, CRA officer, Michelle Reagan, City National. She's a lender. She does SBA. She's amazing. We have NaChe Dinklo. I met NaChe. She was a CMO at a small company. Now she's on her own. You're freelancing as CMO? And she's with a startup. That's an amazing. I'd love to have her as my CMO at my startup. We have Jamaica Marshall, who's in charge of entrepreneurship from the LA Urban League. And that's one of our partners. And then, of course, we have Monique Johnson, no longer CRA, just Senior Vice President, Business Relations, Corporate Relations, something like that. So, sure, okay.
Thank you for all the presenters. You really, really made our job difficult. I'm going to tell you, I think we voted anonymously first, and then we discussed everything. But the number one position was we all agreed, all 5 of us. Number 2 was divided, so it was 3 and 2, with the number 3 again being 2 and 3, right? So because of that, it was a little bit difficult. We took a little bit longer, but so I just want to announce the first winner. All right, the second place with, again, divided vote. The second place is NaChe Cosmetics. All right, so the number 1 place goes to the daughter. You want to come announce your mom as a winner?
The number 1 is my mom.
Again, literally, it was a very difficult, very close. It was a margin of 1 number with everybody, and it was a very divided vote. So thank you, everybody. Great job.
And our winner is M Blackwell of Kanda Chocolates, our 3rd place winner.